What happens to a boy who isn't seen? Not corrected or punished, but seen as he is. Messy, he's emotional, he might be sensitive, he might be powerful. But what happens when he's not? He becomes a man who doesn't know what his strength is for. Or worse, he's one who uses it in a way that the culture taught him to dominate, to suppress, or to disappear. Today I'm talking with Cedric, the founder of the True North Odyssey, a man's initiation rooted in myth, silence, and masculinity. Cedric's work didn't start in the woods. It started with a collapse, his own, and after his divorce, after all that fell apart, and realizing that the version of manhood he'd been handed wasn't enough. This episode is how we treat boys and how we misunderstand men. Cedric, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for having me.
So I want to talk about your critique of culture and boyhood. And we were just talking just now and we were getting to some good stuff, but let's go back to your story for a minute. What was the turning point that led you to create True North Odyssey?
You mentioned that the collapse, the divorce was a point. It was clearly a defining point for me, a mountain I needed to pass, and I really saw this as a mountain. I was really in a good place at that time. But the turning point was really the birth of my son. In 2010, I actually really felt, and I feel like it's every single man who becomes a father just feel the love, but also the fear, the vulnerability of anything happening to this little thing. And this is the first time. And that triggered a lot of anxiety for me, and a lot of questioning of my own childhood and how I've been raised and their own legacy. And I really started the journey, which took a while for me to find what resonated with me. And then the second point, Jeff, is 2016 during the MeToo movement, where I was looking from far this rising of women criticizing men, and suddenly I thought, regarding all of those very nasty messages among a lot towards men, I thought, well, my son is 6, in few years going to be on the social media. What view does he have from masculinity? And for better or for worse, where are the healthy men? Where are they? And I didn't see any, and I didn't really trust men. It took me a while. I mean, even to feel being a man, it's something very recent. I mean, I'm 47, and I think it's few years, and we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 years where I think like, all right, I'm a man, and I know what it means, So that, to answer your question, that is 2010, 2016.
Why didn't you feel like a man?
A lot of uncertainty, maybe not a very clear direction in my life. If you ask me what was I supposed to do, is like provide for the family, and maybe not being happy with me, it was really not the top 5 priorities. It was making sure the wife, making sure the kid is happy, making sure I'm doing work and I'm working hard, even if I don't like the job, but I'm just going to do it because that's what I'm being asked, because I've got credits on the back, a house and a car and all of this. So yeah, that's the one.
What does being a man feel like?
It will sound a bit cheesy, but sitting in its own power, being I think that there is my own self-love. I'm happy. I'm very happy. The sun is out in London, so it's even better to actually do that. Say that now. I need sunshine, but I'm happy. I've taken decision in my life that I regret it because it was not taken from my heart, from what I wanted to do, and I actually changed the course of this, and I'm in a better place now, and I'm actually living a life that actually is more in tune with my core. A Jungian psychoanalyst would actually talk about little boy and what my dream as a kid were, and actually living this dream, or starting to live this dream, which is helping others in a way. And also is a sense of community, because I belong to a community of men that I trust, and I've built also around me some friendship with men and women that I really trust and I really like, where I can be vulnerable, so I can show up to the world in a better place, and being myself and addressing all those challenges that comes in life in confidence, and so I can actually face the public in a much more healthy way.
You said healthy. How does that differ from what the media calls toxic masculinity?
I think the system is pushing us to compete with each other, to be driven very much by the ego. What do you want to earn? What type of car do you drive? Where do you live? And that just drives some nastiness in business and corporation. It's all about wording things in a nice fashion, so you win the battle rather than being a true leader, which is embracing working together for the greater good. I'm very much an idealistic, so I have nothing against corporation. We need them, but I've got nothing to do over there. I've learned it the hard way over many years. And healthy for me means to actually work towards making the earth a better place, working with making the community a better place, leaving this place in a better place, in a better situation than where we actually arrive. I think that's true legacies, is being able to step back and look at the ground things of things, and just decide, all right, which part am I gonna play, and what positive am I gonna bring in the world. And healthy compared to toxic masculine, those are words that have disappeared almost everywhere. Honesty is a big one, and in the US you've got it's something right nowadays. Being accountable, I'm responsible for what I say and I'm gonna do. Being in integrity is another one. Trust, this notion that I am doing something, even if it's for profit. I'm gonna make a product that will serve you, but also going to serve the earth, and do not damage it, or like we're doing. We are right now working on. We are energy addict, and
Let's talk about Adolescence, the TV show. We were just talking about this, but I want to come back to it. You wrote that it doesn't just misunderstand boys, but it flattens them. And I really like that phrasing. And it reduces them to either idiots or threats. But a lot of people saw the show and they went, finally, somebody's addressing male rage. So what are they missing?
In the article I wrote on my website and on LinkedIn, I looked at it, and my son is 14, so obviously I'm a divorced dad. I'm very involved, although I see him once a week and every other weekend. I'm very involved with him, and he'll be the judge when he's an adult whether I was a great dad or not, or certainly we'll do some processes around that. I didn't like the first thing I saw is a man, a father under a roof with the same mother. That doesn't happen. It's very rare. The mother is usually it's 60% of marriage end up in divorce, one, and two, it's usually the stepfather that actually is in the house. Or it's not. It portrayed a traditional family that to me doesn't exist anymore, or very rarely, or maybe not in a proportion that actually justify to write a 3 episode over a problem that is a societal problem, just over this man who's actually a healthy-ish guy who can't talk about his emotion. I'm talking about the father, but present. He was just next door to his son, and then his son just happened to be watching some incel or whatever, and then decided to actually kill his mother. His school friend. When I did the research on this, what the killing, because Graham was talking about 2 different killing in the US, in the UK, were North and South, and it was actually a boy and a girl in one case and a boy in the other case. And I've just looked at it, and the father was not here. One of the boy was actually, the father has been charged for sexual assault. He was actually using his camera to do some filming of girls' underwear in malls. And the other one was actually a kid who actually was coming from Ethiopia or one of those countries, with a father that was bluntly violent and traumatized. So obviously, as we certainly all know, that actually violence fuel violence. I never saw a violence actually just calming everything. I think everything has to be from a deep understanding of the trauma and forgiveness. And obviously this most likely has had some effect on the kids, which actually turn out to be violent, and therefore just end up doing the killing. And we're talking about two I mean, three, two boys and one girl, and we actually apparently forgotten about the girl, and the father was very much unknown on in the case of the girl. But it's two out of a million of boys that we have, and I don't know what's your kid like, but mine is pretty healthy and he's fine. He's actually full of life, and I would hate him to actually see those type of information put on social media, because that's where he's gonna think that there is a problem with him. He hasn't. He's just a very happy kid. I've asked him about incel, and he say, "I don't know what's that, daddy." You're just like, "I don't know. Apparently, you all guys know about it, and you need to be an incel or not." I didn't deep down. I tried to find it on TikTok. It's actually a name that is forbidden now, and I'm just like, "All right, what are we talking about here?" It's just everyone has been taken, saying we need to do something for the boys, but I don't think they need. I think people are, we still are stepping back from the problem, thinking, oh, someone needs to take care of it, which I think is completely crazy. We just need to look after our boys and our girls in our vicinity. I'm a father, I've got nieces and nephews, and I just want to look after them. And everyone start thinking, all right, I have a problem. I'm a father. I can't reach out to my kids. I know that from 11 onwards, I have a very big role to play, because I will have a much bigger role to actually help those kids become healthy by just being healthy myself. So why don't I just work on myself one way, shape, or form? Therapy, community, True North Odyssey. We're getting father son. I'm getting a father initiation. I think that would be very helpful. Work in a community. Work on ourselves to actually start being healthy towards our kids, and being able to engage and understand what they need. And really, it's not complicated, I don't think. They need to be seen, they need to be heard, and they need to be loved. And after that, they'll do everything, and they'll be much more confident and competent people that we've ever been.
It almost seems like there are boys who are acting poorly in very unhealthy ways. But what seems to happen is all boys seem to get painted with the same brush. Like now I'm hearing that adolescence show is going to be shown in UK classrooms, and boys are being separated from girls and shown that show. How do we get here?
Imagine at 14 being shown that. What would be like? So, I mean, that's a kid who's killed another kid. What does it have to do anything with me? I don't want to kill anyone. And I don't think my son didn't told me that the school hasn't heard about adolescents. Apparently, they're asked to actually pass it in the UK. I don't see the benefit of that. Where I see a would benefit is like asking the very core question of all those, and I don't say there's no problem with boys and there's no problem with girls, and I'm not saying that. The real questions is, where are the fathers? Where are they? If they are extremely key during the period of teenagehood, where are they? They're working. 190,000 kids are in prison in the UK right now. 90% of the population is male in prison. 180,000 kids are actually growing without fathers. 60% of there's more 60% more chance for 60 for a male, a boy, to end up in prison if his father is in prison. That's the problem we need to fix. All right, so the father is in prison. Is he half a decent guy? Yes. Does he love his child? Yes. All right, let's help him become a better father, so we actually have reduced the risk of actually putting his son through the same ordeal. That for me is the key. Where are the fathers? And if I don't know the US you said anymore, and it's a worldwide, at least in Western countries, it's west. Where are the fathers? Either they've decided to tap out and not be involved, or they want to be involved, but then justice has decided that they don't have access for X, Y, and reason. Right and wrong, again, I'm not saying, but it's just like, okay, so let's work with where we are. If a man is half decent and really felt what I felt, and hopefully you felt about their kids when they had them for the first time in their arms, they want to be better. Daughters on Netflix was actually extremely beautiful on this front, where all the men really wanted to work on themselves so they could see that their daughters. And I just feel like that's the core issue, is helping fathers to actually become better understanding our emotions, work within a community that supports each other. So he's got a decent chance to actually become a better father and a better healthy figure.
Do you think that society is hostile towards boys?
I'm always wary of society. I don't know what it means really. It's just like who are the people. If that's the people behind social media and reacting, knowing that they don't know a boy, yeah, it's just like saying that immigrants are the problems to all the problems without actually understanding where are the immigrants, what do they do, and what job do they take to actually, it's generalization is never a good thing. I never really saw anything positive taking big data and to take small decision. It's never really been, I can't see this as being positive. A pyramid going up to down, I think this should actually be a community where we as fathers get together and start thinking, all right, we have a problem. Fathers, men are actually absent. I'm not questioning that. What can we do? Okay, let's get together and try to reach out to them and say, hey, I've learned something, shadow work. Come over. If you want to learn things, I can actually help you. And then we can actually start and see and how we can actually work together to make things better. It's going to be a society. It's going to be concerned citizen who actually going to make a change, not governments or not society, because society doesn't exist. Society is you and me. And unless we do something, nothing will happen.
But there is an influence from higher up, and I'm thinking about my experience in divorce court. And divorce court was or family court as it's called in Canada. And family court was very much sided with my ex, and they limited how much time I had with my kids. So there is something at a higher level than just society or just individuals.
It's disgusting to have this type of power taking the decision for two individuals who are very capable of taking a decision. I don't think it's fair, and I don't know the detail of your divorce, Jeff, and it's why the mother would not understand the importance of actually making sure that you've got access to your children. It's educational more than anything else, and having when I divorced, I took 6 years to divorce because there were no way I would pay a judge for me to I decided to wait and negotiate with my ex-wife onto how we're gonna make this work, and I regret the fact that I've got just 1 day a week and every other weekend, because I think more would actually be nice. But I also like the fact that there is a stability in his life and he's staying at one place, and I'm involved in different fashion, and I'm doing things with him that actually is bringing being myself more and more, since I'm doing this project and things. I'm talking about it with him, and that's I think it's got a big impact. I hope or not. We'll talk about this in 10 years. So if we talk about justice system forcing the end towards and being in favor of women, yeah, I've heard this many times, and I think it's disgusting. I do. It's disgusting. Not only is disgusting because obviously there is a consequence for the father who are actually being cut out of his children, and those guys won't never say it. We're never gonna go, or we will say in an angry fashion online, but we are very sad. When the house is empty, when I don't have my son, it's empty. It's sad. There's loneliness, not aloneness, loneliness, and we to your point about society, what they think, I think men, we're not human. We don't have feelings. And we do. We not express it the same way as a woman would do, maybe, surely, but we do. We just express it in a different fashion. And that's what I'm trying to do with this workshop, trying to teach emotion and start to put some vocabulary rather than I'm pissed off and I'm sad. I just bring a bit more depth to the vocabulary, so we can actually say, all right, what's going on here? There's joy, there is grief, there is fear, there is anger, which we do, and we do very well. Yeah, there needs to be those centralized government to actually decide for the public is yeah, it's complicated matter, but yeah, I don't think it's fair.
It doesn't just impact the men, it impacts the kids as well. Like, fathers have such a rich role in their kids' lives. We challenge them, we support them when they need it, and we initiate them into adulthood. And I find when you go through family court, the court doesn't see those softer, maybe not, maybe softer is the wrong word, but they don't see those secondary benefits. And the father's role often gets reduced to solely a provider or solely an ATM. And having your kids see you in that way, or reducing your role to just providing money, I think is the disgusting part.
It's I think that's very prominent in North America. I've heard a lot of stories on this. The UK as well. France is, my friends who got divorced have had 50-50, but they were in good term with the mother. And I don't know if a mother decide that's not going to happen, how the court will side. I think what the court will do is actually always take what's the best for the children, and the children are usually more, I don't have data, so what I'm saying here might actually, but there is more chance for the children to actually have a stable life with a mother than a dad, is what I think. They certainly look at the big figures and thinking, all right, we're just going to apply this to everything because that's less chance for us to get it wrong. I genuinely think, and that's the problem, like you've seen it certainly online, not all men, but every time a man. Look at the war, look at even at the top government of the two most biggest country, which is the US and Russia, the guys, clearly what we would call a tyrant king, because they are dictators, let's just put it there, they are. You go, as I said, 90% of the prison are populated by men. I don't know the data in the US. They didn't arrive there just by mistake. They've done something. So there is a need of actually self-realization that, yeah, to be trustworthy as a man, you need to actually do some work and show that you are trustworthy. And therefore, the society, as you were saying, or the justice system, looking at the big data, is thinking, all right, so I've got more chance to actually have less problem by actually having the mother involved rather than having just the dad. It's my thinking around this. And we need to prove that actually we can be relied on. It took me a long time to trust a man. It did, because I didn't trust men, because every time I was used by in one way, shape or form. So it's just like there's always some further. It doesn't come from the heart. There's always some thinking process. It's my personal experience, and yeah, it has to come two ways. And I would expect the justice system is like, all right, just show me that the data are going lower, and then you guys can be accountable, have some integrity, be honest, and then we can discuss this again. I think we're pretty mature as a gender still. That's where I would say from a global things. So yeah.
I think you have more faith in the justice system than I do.
And
Go ahead.
again, it's generic with Jeff versus your ex-wife. You know, you are a decent guy. I know, and everything. What happened to you happened to certainly a lot of French I can see on Facebook and everywhere who actually didn't do anything wrong. If anything, maybe they've cheated on their wife or anything, and then she takes the kids in the bar to actually get back to him. But the process, the consequences are not only on the father, who's obviously very sad and lonely, but on the kids, who actually could actually be much better if the father or a father figure was involved.
Right. And you've said in your writing that we're faster to regulate boys than to understand them. What would it look like to support them instead of regulating them?
The thing is, we need to bring back the community. I've read it everywhere. Now that I'm on LinkedIn, I've seen a lot of people talking rite of passage, initiation. This notion of communities is important. It's not two people who raise a kid. It takes a village. It's an expression, and it's true. You have to have a lot of people bringing back the community. My objective with this rite of passage that I do, father son, and it's different than a normal rite of passage where the kid is growing as a man alone. I don't think we need more alone men. I think we need to have the father having a hand-on-heart conversation with other men, to our youngsters, that actually what it is to be a man. It's about facing your fear, is having to have your dream and working through it no matter what, is keeping faith, and it's about community. So at the end of the weekend, and they will have the sense of the beginning of a community of father and boys. Because as you certainly know, if you have some teenage boys, they don't listen to their father, but they will listen to the friend, because they connect better, and it's natural. I think it was Stephen Biddulph who just said that the kids will actually challenge their parents and then seek outside the different information that he needs and make his own decision. They're great. We need to trust the kids and just work with them. And they're brilliant fun to actually be around. I mean, boys, they're fast, they're extremely clever, they're very connected, they're very knowledgeable. I've got lots of faith into the future generation, except that obviously we need to be there to actually nurture them. It's our role as masculine is protect them and look after them in a very create a container where they can be boys, but also learn the idea of boundaries and being themselves and learning about themselves. And the father, as much as he's going to be able to put the boundaries, it comes up with the rest of the community, the football coach, the rugby coach, the teachers, and everyone needs to be involved on this.
So what happens to a boy who, in your view, what happens to a boy who grows up without those masculine role models?
It doesn't
Or
necessarily
worse yet, he's got a father who's present but maybe emotionally absent.
Yeah, well, it's where is he going to find his gang? Where is he going to find his tribe? He needs a tribe, one way or shape or form. So if it's not here, it's on the street, it's with friends who are not really, who are similar. And then you end up in the trouble that you have in Paris. Any public demonstration, then there will be violence, there will be some violence. It's a healthy masculine. And I was having this conversation with some friends. Like, I'm working with a council of Kingston in London, where I've applied for a grant, and I've thought with the team of the Kingston Council, I thought, oh, we need to find a football healthy masculine, soccer in your part of the world. There's none. I'm not a soccer fan, so obviously I've asked my friends who actually are big soccer player, give me one healthy man in the soccer player world. None. They play well football, but they're not healthy masculine. There's none. There's no one who actually are a public figure who actually can actually look half healthy without having touched a woman or being, just like there is a problem here, because what is portrayed in social media, and that comes back to this adolescence, is that you need to have a big car, the woman will come, and then obviously you just use her the same way as others, and then you just dump her because that's just consumption, and that's where it is. So yeah, without a father figure, without a healthy father figure, then a boy will just like, all right, where are the father figures? And yes, they're online, and we know who they are, and at the moment there is nothing healthy. And even if someone was healthy, it's boring. It's just like, you go down the road of potentially, Christianity or something, and it's just like, there's nothing exciting about it. So it's just like, all right. And I truly think that it's just like, find a way to make whatever the community healthy, nice and interesting. And that's what I'm hoping to answer by actually creating this community and sees where it goes. Because they are challenging us. I've done the questionnaire. The questionnaire came back from the fathers, and the boys are hungry. They want things. They want to experience stuff. They are hungry, and we just need to find a healthy way of giving them what they want. Adventure, a vision quest. I don't know. I will find the answer, but that's what is needed.
You're pointing at a different kind of masculinity. Like in the past, it seemed like masculinity was conquering. It was aligning with the warrior. But what you're describing sounds more like you still have the warrior if necessary, but you're rooted in presence and care and integrity. What does it look like to raise boys into that kind of man? And how far off of that are we?
I do think. I mean, I'm writing and I'm creating a podcast, Birth of the Masculine, because I don't think we ever been men masculine have ever understood what we were supposed to really do here, because we always been put on the back foot to protect ourselves or fight against Mother Nature. Because as much as we love her and she's beautiful and everything, it's actually very different stories where in the 17th centuries where you had to we had to carve our way out of, make a space in nature, science, medical, and everything. So it wasn't really, but now that we've conquered the planet, I think the real things that we need to do is start to actually really having a good hard look at ourselves, because we need to actually have nurturing, protection, and stewardship into our core role model. I truly think that. and our boys needs to actually, and our girls as well, needs to be actually shown the way. So we need to understand our new way, and then actually we need to work with them. And I don't think it's we'll show you. I think we'll work with you, because I'm pretty sure they have much more information of what the future looks like we did in the 90s or early 90s. We already knew what we needed to do. I mean, it's no surprise that everyone is going to Peru or taking mushroom or ayahuasca or to trauma, to, to clear themselves, get closer to nature, and start to actually heal from those past wounds. And it works. I just come back from breaking convention. There is huge loads of people who actually are getting better inside themselves thanks to those medicine. There were also questions around that, which was the toxic area of psychedelics. So it's not all beautiful and it's not the panacea, but that's the reality. It's a renaissance. So to answer your question, what is to happen with the kids? We just needs to be there and listen. I think we need to listen more than we need to do anything, because they've got loads of wisdom. The kids are as half the same way as mine. I'm very proud of mine. So obviously, but they're extremely, extremely intelligent. And one of my flatmates, she's 22. She's a beautiful hearted lady, and she's got loads, tons, and she's not looking at, oh, life is tough and everything. She's just carving her way in. She wants to become an artist. She will become an artist. She's working hard to get it through. And it's just like, it's not all black and white. It's much more. We just need to get close to them. We need to get the elders, us and the youngsters, together around a fire, ideally by the water or something, just to chat. Well, I don't think that we need much more than that. And if we listen, we just realize that there's lots of wisdom coming up. And we live in a different world in 25 years, very different world.
Why do you think the wilderness is such a powerful place to reconnect with who they are and who they're meant to be?
I mean, there's a science of it. The Chabanese were actually sending the city urban people in the forest for 12 hours, and realized that actually what they were breathing, and the fact that they were in forest for 12 hours reduced their stress level for up to 1 month. That's how forest bathing came about. So there is this. I personally am from London. I live in London, but I'm from a countryside in the east side of France, near Switzerland. It took me a few years, when I wasn't really feeling well, to understand that actually there is no tree. Where I come from, you drive half an hour in the forest to reach the village with 200 inhabitants, a bit like where you live, Jeff, I think, maybe even less. But I actually have, there's no trees here. The importance of trees, I will say something wrong, maybe pheromones, or what they actually are passing. And being in nature, it's I don't know, I'm sailing. I've been sailing for a few years. I haven't for a few years now, 5 years, but it's being at sea. What else do you need? You asked me earlier what was the values. I was telling you honesty and everything. Sobriety as well. Okay, sailing might not be a sobriety because it's quite expensive things, but just being close to nature and just looking after ourselves. Like Voltaire used to say, in a French philosopher who's saying, you just need to look after our gardens. I'm getting old, so obviously this will end up with me, but it's nature, always been, Spinoza, everyone is just talking about that. So it's, what do you think? If you go for a walk in nature, you come back, you feel better. I mean, it's important. And around the fire, there's something around the fire, the sun is out, the sun is down, and you're just having a chat, and and they're asking questions. I did one of those after COVID, a couple of years ago. No, more than that now. I just get the kids, and then suddenly someone is asking question, and you just answer. No, I try not to talk too much, just to get them talking, and it's just like, it's beautiful. They're asking question. They're very curious and everything. I'm very hopeful and I'm very positive. And I think if we talk together, a community, and really do it, stop talking about, oh, we need rite of passage. All right, how does it look like? What time do they arrive? What's the outline? We'll take the hero journey, what the process is, and what after and everything. Let's do it. And I want to create an open source so you can take it and bring it in the west of the US or Canada. And then I was talking on Sunday to people in Switzerland, not far from where I come from, and then Italy. I know some people. Let's just, all right, women have shouted enough. I think we need to actually start doing something, because that's what we do, man. We get shit done.
What about the role of myth? Because you talked about initiation. How does that play into the role?
Well, if you want to catch the, I mean, even if a man or a boy or anyone, because if you look at the myths, the stories, Joseph Campbell with the hero's journey, there's not one movie, action movie or whatever, that actually doesn't follow the hero's journey. You have a deep dive, Lord of the Ring, Star Wars, and all of those, and replicating this, helping people to experience, not read about it, not being told about it. Storytelling is something, but having some really deep thing, is deep sensation about what's going on is quite important, and feeling fear. Feeling vulnerability. What does it mean to be courageous? Oh yeah, it's fighting in a battle. All right, let's just close your eyes for a minute. Yeah, it's 1944, 6th of June. You hear some food, and then the battle, the boat is tangling. Your next mate is dying, and then now tell me the courage. Yeah, this vulnerability is just like, okay, I might actually die. Courage is about heart. Courage. Cœur is heart in French. It's heart. You're not in your warrior. You in your king. You in your. It's just come from the heart here. So mythology is important because you understand where you come from. Those men and women who actually wrote those stories, tales in the 12th century. I've been really much taken aback when I actually was watching a French cathedral. I think it was Chartres, and a man was actually guiding. It's what we call personal development. It was already the same tale, the same stories in the 12th century. Nothing has been invented on that front since a long time. It's been with us. So understand where we come from, and the father is important with that because he understands his ancestry, and now he's got a descendant, so he sees he's been between, and a grandparent. I'm suspecting. I mean, I know is even deeper than that because they are gonna be ancestors in due course, like we say. So it's about the legacy, bringing the healthy values, but also afterwards using them in a healthy way, so the people, the father and the sons can actually experience it. The outline I've done, not, I will review it because, but it's powerful. And using books, the latest, the books that actually are talking about those tales. The Alchemist could be one book that could be used for this. Alchemy being another, the pinnacle of actually what I would call, self-discovery. What our objective is just to understand the world that we live in. An alchemist, that's what they're doing.
What's one story about masculinity you had to unlearn, like personally?
That you have to do it on your own. I think that's fucking core to every one of us. And you Americans and North Americans have actually been drilling this with all those movies that I love dearly. I mean, Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, and Bruce Lee and all of those guys who actually work alone and then get the big guns and then clear the path. It's the antipode of what a man should be. A man should be, all right, let's take a seat, let's have a conversation, let's understand the outcome. Be a boring program planner or project planner, but just like, all right, we've created something beautiful here. Let's not destroy it in 2 minutes. Let's just have a think and just see on how we could move forward. Yes, again, nurturing, protection. I don't want to use protection too much because it's got some wrong, maybe potentially connotation, but protecting nature, understanding something that I really love is the Native American. It's been told by an Englishman, but it's been also told by an American lady who's looking after the monkeys, the gorillas, Jane in Goodwin.
Yes, good. Good.
The Native American would actually take a seat and actually take a decision for the tribe, and then they will take a decision, then they will stand up and go, and it's called a children fire. So there's a smaller fire, and they will sit and understand the consequences of the decision for the next 7 generations.
Oof. No
seven
pressure.
seven generation. Think about it. When in the corporate and in the today's world, we don't look further than 5 years when you have a business plan, and everyone knows that the next 5 years, like, well, 7 generation. That's how I think we need to. That's the thing that I would say I've unlearned is what's my imprint in here and what am I doing. And that's why I've started it, because at one point I needed to start it. It's just like, all right, let's get this done, because that's been within me for a long time, so I need to get it done, because I will hope that actually I'm passing something healthy for the rest of the generation. So it's this thing. But no one ever, and I'm talking men and women, will never ever achieve anything alone, ever. As someone who's been self-made, you had a client, you needed an accountant, you needed a marketing officer, you needed someone to look after your kids when you were busy working. You do not do anything alone. And that's what I had to really unlearn and have a much longer vision. That's actually what we have been trained to do.
Since going through your divorce, I think you said 2016, was it?
So we separated decided to separate in 2017, and then the divorce has been officially pronounced, I think, 2 years ago. Received the paperwork, yeah.
What's the thing that you're most grateful for having gone through that process?
I've learned a lot about myself. I really saw that, as I was saying, it's an upward struggle, really. I looked at the mountain and I'm like, my God, I'll never get on the other side. And it taught me the negotiation were not very easy with my ex-wife at the beginning. And it got better because I started to let go and start less being driven by my ego and more by being, or just like by heart, in a fashion like, all right, let's just have a conversation. All right, you can't have the conversation, I'll wait. So the patient as well. I am extremely patient. I've learned that, because I thought I wasn't, but actually in the right settings I can be extremely patient. So that's the things I've learned. The idea of the ego, I've discovered it. Being right is more important than getting the outcome in the negotiation, which is in every single negotiation book. It's just like being right, drop it. You need to actually make sure that both parties are happy. And that's where I really learned this.
Where can people find you, and how can they learn more about True North Odyssey?
It's a website, truenorthodyssey.com, and I'm on YouTube, again, the same name. The podcast will be called Birth of the Masculine. I'm actually doing a lot of interviews now, and I will release it certainly in May once everything is edited, at least the 5 first episodes. And then I'm on Instagram as well, and on LinkedIn under my name, Cedric Previtali, which can be, I found it easy to spell, but everyone wants to put an I at Previtali to start with, and it's a E. So, but yeah, True North Odyssey is on those platforms. And I'm publishing an article on LinkedIn, and I'm also having a blog on my website.
I think what you talked about will really sit with me, and we don't need better programs for boys. We need better fathers, and that's for us to do the work. And we need fathers who are capable of holding that, our emotions and the fire, and demonstrating that to the boys. And it's not just strength that doesn't perform, it protects too. So if you're raising sons, if you're healing from how you were raised, that's the work, is learning to hold those emotions and that pain. Not to fix the boys, but to grow them into the kind of man that they can watch and trust and follow. So thanks for listening. Send this to a father, send it to a son, and I'll see you next time.